You already know the vibe. We're here to sip some tea, talk about what's really going on in these reality TV streets, and have an honest, grown conversation about it all. Nothing too serious, but definitely real talk. So go ahead, grab your drink, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Speaking of drinks, y'all know I like to start my videos by asking what you're sipping on tonight. Drop it down in the comments. I'm always curious because everyone has their own little ritual for these kinds of chats. Me, I've got something new in my cup tonight. It's this green apple and Sprite mix from McDonald's. Don't judge me, okay? It sounded good, and I just wanted to try something different. I told them not to add ice, but of course they did. Either they weren't listening or I forgot to say it, but it's fine because it's actually really refreshing. Sweet, tangy, a little fizzy. I might just make this my new favorite. Now, today's video might not be super long, but we've still got some things to talk about. We're gonna touch on Miss Wanda's latest round of drama, the whole CPS situation that's been making the rounds, and then we'll move into the conversation that just won't die, whether or not Tisha will ever actually leave Marceau. Yeah, that one. Because every time this topic comes up, the internet loses its mind debating it. But before we dive in, let me just say what I always say. Everything I discuss here is alleged and based on opinion. I'm not here to declare facts. I'm here to analyze what's being said, look at the patterns, and share my perspective. We're just here to talk and have a little fun while we do it. All right, let's start with Miss Wanda because, woo, she's doing what Miss Wanda always does, staying in the middle of chaos. Recently, she went live talking about how someone called Child Protective Services on her. She said CPS actually came by her house after somebody made reports that she was allegedly drinking too much and not taking proper care of the kids. Now, according to Wanda, it was just a routine check, but she also admitted something that had a lot of people side-eyeing her. She said she was a little tipsy when they showed up. And listen, we're all human, right? People have drinks, that's not the issue. The problem is admitting that publicly on live, especially when you're talking about CPS being involved, because the internet doesn't forget. Once you say it, you can't take it back. And Miss Wanda is known for going live before thinking things through. That's kind of her brand at this point, talking off the cuff, getting emotional, and then having to clean up the mess later. She's entertaining, sure, but sometimes it's like watching a train you know is about to crash. Now, she said after CPS realized who she was, that she's Miss Wanda from Love and Marriage Huntsville, they supposedly relaxed and the whole thing ended quickly. But instead of leaving it there, she went off on the people she believed made the call. She dropped some serious attitude, saying F them and making it clear she wasn't going to let anyone intimidate her. And that's classic Wanda. She's never gonna sit quietly when she feels disrespected. But then she said something that had everybody confused. She started talking about some kind of tea she supposedly had, something she claims is big, and said that if Trudy, another YouTube creator, would drop a lawsuit against Maurice, she'd be willing to share it. Now, hold up. What? That's where everybody, including me, had to stop and say, girl, what are you talking about? Because how are we suddenly negotiating legal cases with gossip? That's not how any of this works. And the more you listen to it, the more it feels like Wanda was just talking in circles. Because first off, Trudy isn't even the one with the lawsuit against Maurice. That's Miss Black Titanic. So either she got her names mixed up, or she just wanted to sound like she knew something she didn't. And second, even if she did have some sort of tea, why would anyone drop an entire lawsuit just to hear it? That's not logic, that's theatrics. It's the kind of thing people do when they want to sound important or powerful in a situation where they're not. Honestly, this just feels like another round of Wanda trying to keep herself relevant in the mix. Because let's be real, the cameras aren't rolling right now, and when the show's off season, some of these personalities have to find other ways to stay in the spotlight. Going live and making dramatic claims is one of the easiest ways to do that. It keeps people talking, it keeps her name in the headlines, and it feeds into her whole tell it like it is image.
But here's my take. If you really had something to say, you just say it. You wouldn't tease it, you wouldn't dangle it in front of people like bait. and you definitely wouldn't use it as leverage in somebody else's situation. That's not spilling tea, that's playing games. And it's exactly why a lot of people have stopped taking Wanda seriously when she claims she has inside information. Every time she hypes something up, it turns out to be nothing or something everyone already knew. At the end of the day, I think this was less about truth and more about attention. Wanda wanted to remind people that she's still here, still talking, still a name worth mentioning. But if she keeps pulling stunts like this, even her loyal fans might start tuning her out. Because there's only so many times you can cry wolf before people stop believing you've got a wolf at all. Now, while Wanda's doing her thing, the internet has also been revisiting one of its favorite debates, whether or not Tisha will ever leave Marceau. And listen, I've seen all kinds of takes on this one. Some people think she's staying because she's comfortable, others say it's about the kids, and then there are those who believe it's about image and money. Personally, I think it's all three. From what I can see, Tisha's entire public identity is built around being a wife, specifically a rich wife. She wears that title like a badge of honor. She's even branded herself around it, selling merch and pushing that narrative online. And there's nothing wrong with being proud of your marriage, but when your whole personality revolves around it, it starts to look like you don't have anything else that defines you. And that's where I think Tisha's missing an opportunity. Because while she's busy standing by Marceau, Melody Halt is out here showing everyone what it looks like to reinvent yourself after a messy relationship. Melody didn't just bounce back, she built. She created businesses, she expanded her platform, and she stayed consistent. That's what's kept her relevant beyond the show. She's not just a reality star anymore, she's a brand. Tisha could do that too, but for whatever reason, she doesn't seem to follow through. Remember the Mommy podcast she said she was going to start? It had potential, but after the initial buzz, we didn't hear much about it again. Same with her talk about launching a hair care line. It came up, people got excited, and then it disappeared. That pattern makes it look like she either loses interest or doesn't have the right people helping her execute her ideas. And that's unfortunate, because she's got a platform that could easily turn into something powerful if she used it right. But here's the thing, I don't think Tisha necessarily wants independence in the way some people think she should. I think she likes her life the way it is. She's got the comfort, the stability, the attention, and the financial security that comes from being with Marceau. She's comfortable being the wife. And you know what? For some people, that's enough. Not everyone needs to be the boss. Not everyone wants to lead. And not everyone measures success by independence. That said, comfort can become a trap. Because the moment things get rocky, you don't know how to stand alone. If your identity is built entirely around someone else, the ground starts shaking when they're not holding you up. That's why I always say, even if you're in a relationship, you've still got to have something that's yours. Your career, your creativity, your purpose. Something that doesn't depend on anyone else's name. As for Marceau, we've all seen the moments on Love and Marriage in Huntsville that make people raise an eyebrow. The jokes, the dismissive comments, the side glances. There's a lot that suggests their relationship isn't as picture perfect as they want people to believe. But Tisha always stands by him. She defends him every time, no matter what's being said online. That's why most of us don't think she'll ever leave. Because for her, staying is part of the brand. It's what she's built everything on. Now, circling back to Miss Wanda for a second, because she's always somehow tied into her daughter's storyline, she really doesn't make things easier for Tisha. Every time Wanda gets involved, it brings more attention to their family in ways that aren't flattering. And I get it. She's protective, she wants to defend her daughter, she loves the spotlight, but sometimes she does more harm than good. She jumps into situations that don't concern her. She calls people out online, and then when the backlash hits, she claims she's the victim. It's this endless cycle that keeps repeating. At some point, Wanda needs to understand that being loud isn't the same as being right. There's power in silence. There's power in letting people wonder instead of always telling them everything. The internet doesn't need to know every detail of your life, and you don't need to respond to every rumor.
The people who truly support you will keep doing so regardless. The rest are just watching for entertainment.